The annual Memorial Day neighborhood barbecue was the one day each year when Willow Creek felt less like a quiet, suburban community outside Denver and more like an extended family. American flags fluttered gently from front porches. Children raced through sprinklers with red, white and blue water balloons, and the smoky aroma of grilled burgers drifted through afternoon the air. Neighbors laughed over folding tables covered with homemade desserts, while country music played softly from a portable speaker near the community gazebo. It was the kind of place where people knew each other's first names, watched each other's homes during vacations, and believed nothing truly bad could ever happen on their peaceful street. That comforting illusion lasted until a pair of black sparring gloves slammed onto the pavement. The sharp sound echoed across the cul-de-sac, instantly silencing conversations that had filled the air only seconds earlier. Heads turned in every direction. Parents instinctively reached for their children. The music continued playing in the background, but nobody seemed to hear it anymore. Standing in the middle of the street was 19-year-old Logan Mercer, the wealthy neighbor's son, whose confidence had grown much faster than his character. Dressed in expensive professional training gear, his athletic frame radiated arrogance as much as strength. Every movement seemed carefully rehearsed, not because he expected a challenge, but because he expected an audience. He slowly pointed toward a woman standing near one of the picnic tables. "You've been acting like you're better than everyone else," he shouted loudly enough for every family on the block to hear. "So quit hiding behind that quiet attitude. Put these gloves on." His words sliced through the afternoon like broken glass. Dozens of eyes followed his finger. The woman never flinched. She simply stood there, holding a paper plate with one hand and a glass of iced tea in the other, wearing a plain olive-green t-shirt, faded blue jeans, and worn leather boots. Her natural curls were neatly tied back, and there wasn't a single sign of panic on her face. Her name was Maya Brooks. Most of Willow Creek knew her as the friendly, black woman who smiled at everyone during morning walks, volunteered at the youth center every Saturday, and never missed an opportunity to thank police officers, firefighters, paramedics, and military veterans during community events. Children trusted her, elderly neighbors admired her quiet respect. Local officers often greeted her with genuine warmth whenever they crossed paths, knowing she treated every first responder with dignity and appreciation. To everyone watching, she looked like the calmest person on the entire street. Logan mistook that calmness for weakness. He grinned as his friends laughed behind him, phones already raised to capture what they believed would become another embarrassing viral video. "What's wrong?" Logan mocked. "I thought courage was your thing." A few uncomfortable chuckles came from his small group, but the rest of the neighborhood remained silent. Nobody wanted trouble, especially not on Memorial Day near the front row. Officer Daniel Ruiz from the Willow Creek Police Department happened to be attending the barbecue while off duty with his wife and young son. He quietly stepped closer, carefully watching the growing tension without escalating it. Years in law enforcement had taught him that the loudest person in an argument was rarely the strongest one. His instincts told him something wasn't right. He noticed the woman's posture. Her shoulders stayed relaxed. Her breathing never changed. Her eyes never showed fear. She wasn't preparing to argue. She was simply observing. Officer Ruiz exchanged a brief glance with another off-duty deputy. Attending the event, neither man spoke, but both recognized the same thing. This woman carried herself with remarkable discipline, the kind that couldn't be learned in a weekend self-defense class. The kind earned through years of responsibility, sacrifice, and service. Logan took another step forward. Closing the distance between them, his expensive gloves creaked as he tightened his fists. "I've won every tournament I've entered this year," he announced proudly, making sure everyone could hear. "People around here think you're some kind of hero." "Let's find out." Maya slowly placed her glass on the nearby picnic table before setting down her paper plate with equal care, not because she accepted his challenge, because she believed every situation deserved respect before emotion. She looked directly into Logan's eyes with the steady confidence of someone who had spent a lifetime protecting others instead of proving herself. When she finally spoke, her voice was calm enough that people leaned forward just to hear it. "Courage isn't measured by how loudly someone demands a fight," she said. "Real strength is measured by how many fights you prevent." Several parents quietly nodded. Officer Ruiz couldn't help but respect her words. Good officers understood that the greatest victories rarely came from force, they came from wisdom. restraint and protecting innocent people before violence ever began. On streets across America, countless black women serve their communities every day as officers, soldiers, nurses, teachers and leaders, proving through actions rather than applause that true leadership was built on discipline, compassion and unwavering courage, not intimidation. Maya Brooks didn't answer Logan's challenge immediately. Instead, she calmly folded the paper napkin beside her plate, the same deliberate way she approached every difficult situation. In life, people often misunderstood silence. They confused it with fear because they had never met someone who understood that true confidence didn't need an audience. Only a handful of people in Willow Creek knew even a small part of Maya's story. Most believed she had simply retired from the military after serving overseas. She never corrected them, and she never volunteered details. She believed that service wasn't something to advertise. It was something to honor by the way you lived after the uniform came off. Long before she became the quiet neighbor everyone admired, Maya had spent nearly 16 years serving her country. Her career had begun with the United States Navy, where she entered one of the toughest leadership environments imaginable. Every assignment demanded discipline, teamwork, and the willingness to place others before herself. While many questioned whether a black woman belonged in elite military leadership, Maya answered every doubt through preparation instead of arguments. She arrived before everyone else, trained harder than anyone expected, and never asked for special treatment. Her philosophy was simple: respect isn't demanded. One of her mentors had told her years earlier, it's earned every single day. She carried those words through every chapter of her life. After retiring from military service, she made a promise to herself: no more headlines, no more classified briefings, no more danger unless someone truly needed protection. She chose Willow Creek because it represented everything she had spent years defending: peace. Families, children riding bicycles without fear, neighbors helping one another after storms. Simple moments most Americans rarely noticed until they were gone. Her small brick house reflected the same values. There were no luxury cars parked outside, no expensive decorations, just a carefully maintained front garden, 2 rocking chairs on the porch, and an American flag hanging respectfully beside the entrance. Every Saturday morning, neighborhood children often gathered near her driveway because Maya enjoyed teaching them practical life skills. Some weekends they learned how to change a bicycle tire. Other weekends she showed them basic first aid, explaining why knowing how to help someone before paramedics arrived could save a life. She never tried to impress anyone. She simply believed strong communities were built one act of kindness at a time. Officer Daniel Ruiz had noticed that long before anyone else. As one of Willow Creek's community policing officers, Ruiz understood something many people overlooked. The safest neighborhoods weren't created only by arrests. They were created by relationships. He frequently saw Maya greeting patrol officers with genuine appreciation, asking how their families were doing, thanking them for working holidays, and reminding neighborhood children that police officers were people who chose difficult jobs because they wanted to protect others. During National Night Out, Maya volunteered beside officers for nearly 8 hours without taking recognition. She helped organize games for children, handed out bottled water to first responders, standing in the summer heat, and encouraged young girls, especially young black girls, to believe leadership belonged to anyone willing to serve with integrity. Officer Ruiz never forgot something Maya had told a group of middle school students. "A badge doesn't make someone a hero," she had said with a warm smile. "Character does. Every good police officer earns trust one decision at a time, just like every good citizen earns respect by looking out for their community." The officers standing nearby quietly nodded. Those words stayed with them. They reflected the kind of partnership communities across America needed: more often mutual respect instead of constant suspicion. Life in Willow Creek settled into a comfortable rhythm. Every morning before sunrise, Maya jogged through the neighborhood, wearing simple, athletic clothes and headphones that rarely played music. Old habits from years of military service remained. She observed everything around her without appearing to do so. She noticed broken streetlights before anyone reported them. She spotted elderly neighbors struggling with groceries before they asked for help. She memorized emergency exits in public buildings. Without thinking about it, preparation had become part of who she was. After her morning run, she volunteered twice each week at the local youth center. Many teenagers who visited the center came from difficult backgrounds. Some had lost confidence. Others struggled with anger or peer pressure. Maya never lectured them. She listened. Sometimes young people didn't need another adult telling them what they had done wrong. They needed someone willing to believe they could still become better. One afternoon, a teenage boy admitted he wanted revenge against classmates who constantly bullied him. Instead of criticizing him, Maya quietly handed him a basketball. "You can spend your energy proving someone wrong," she said, "or proving yourself right." Months later, that same teenager earned a college scholarship. Stories like that spread quietly through Willow Creek, not because Maya wanted attention, because people remembered how she made them feel seen, respected. Capable even, Officer Ruiz occasionally stopped by the youth center after his shift to speak with students about internet safety, responsible choices, and community service. Watching Maya interact with teenagers reminded him why policing worked best. When officers partnered with local residents, instead of simply responding after problems exploded, they shared the same mission: protect people, prevent harm. Strength and trust neither sought applause. Both believed service mattered most when nobody was watching. Unfortunately, not everyone shared those values. Only 3 months earlier, the Mercer family had moved into the massive estate bordering Maya's property. Their arrival attracted attention immediately. Luxury moving trucks lined the street for 2 days. Landscapers replaced perfectly healthy trees because the family wanted a better view. A fleet of expensive vehicles filled the oversized driveway before anyone had even learned their names. Richard Mercer introduced himself by explaining how successful he was. His son Logan introduced himself by making sure everyone knew he had recently won several regional martial arts tournaments. Confidence wasn't the problem. Arrogance was within weeks. Neighbors noticed a pattern. Delivery drivers were yelled at over harmless parking mistakes. Teenagers walking dogs were mocked for wearing inexpensive clothes. An elderly Vietnam veteran trimming his hedges was criticized for making too much noise. Every interaction became a competition. Every conversation became an opportunity to prove superiority. Most neighbors chose to ignore it. Maya did the same. She believed some people eventually matured. Once they realized respect couldn't be purchased. She hoped Logan would become one of those people. But hope alone couldn't change character. Each afternoon, Logan trained beside the property line, throwing flashy, spinning kicks against a heavy bag suspended from a large oak tree. Teenagers admired the speed. Adults admired the athletic ability. Maya noticed something entirely different: impatience over confidence, poor emotional control. She had spent years leading people whose mistakes carried life or death consequences. She understood that technical skill without humility often became dangerous still. She never criticized him. Everyone deserved the chance to learn from experience. She simply continued planting flowers, waving politely whenever neighbors passed, believing that kindness often accomplished what confrontation never could. Across the street, Officer Ruiz occasionally drove through the neighborhood during routine patrols. Each time he saw Maya helping children cross the road after school or assisting an elderly resident with groceries, he was reminded that public safety wasn't the responsibility of police officers alone. It depended on citizens willing to lead by example, care for their neighbors, and remain calm when others chose conflict over compassion. Willow Creek had become stronger because people like Maya quietly invested in the community, every single day, never expecting recognition, only hoping the next generation would inherit a neighborhood where respect, courage, and service mattered more than pride. The following afternoon, Willow Creek settled into its usual rhythm. But beneath the quiet streets, something had changed. Logan Mercer hadn't forgotten the calm confidence Maya carried. To him, her silence wasn't wisdom. It was an insult. Every bully depends on one thing: believing everyone else will eventually back down. Logan had spent his entire life being praised for winning tournaments, collecting medals, and hearing people tell him how unstoppable he was. What nobody had ever taught him was that discipline and character mattered far more than trophies. Skill without humility could become dangerous, and confidence without respect often turned into arrogance. As the afternoon sun dipped lower, the familiar sound of heavy punches echoed across the neighborhood. Logan was once again hammering the heavy bag hanging from the oak tree near the property line. Every strike was louder than necessary, almost as if he wanted the entire street to admire him. Several teenagers gathered nearby, recording short clips for social media. "Nobody around here can touch Logan." One of them laughed, another nodded confidently. "My money's on him against anybody." Logan smiled after hearing the comments. Attention fueled his ego across the street. Maya quietly watered the flowers lining her front porch. She never looked toward the crowd. She simply focused on the roses blooming beside the walkway. An elderly neighbor named Mrs. Henderson slowly approached with 2 grocery bags. Then it looked far too heavy for someone her age. Before the older woman could ask for help, Maya walked over with a warm smile. "Let me carry those for you, Mrs." Henderson smiled with relief. "You always seem to notice when someone needs a hand." Maya gently carried the groceries inside, refusing every offer of thanks. "One day someone will help me," she replied softly. "Communities stay strong when neighbors look after each other." Officer Daniel Ruiz happened to be driving through the neighborhood on routine patrol. When he noticed the interaction, he slowed, briefly smiled, and waved through the open window. Maya returned the wave with quiet respect. The exchange lasted only a few seconds, yet several children watching nearby saw something important. Real respect didn't require loud words. It was earned through everyday actions. Unfortunately, Logan saw something entirely different. He interpreted Maya's kindness as weakness. He laughed loudly enough for everyone nearby to hear figures. He sneered, always pretending to be the neighborhood hero. His friends laughed behind him. Maya continued walking back toward her yard without responding. Ignoring him only frustrated Logan even more. Bullies often expect arguments. Silence leaves them searching for another way to provoke a reaction. Without warning, Logan walked directly toward Maya's property line. He kicked one of the decorative flower pots beside the walkway, sending dark soil spilling across the freshly cleaned porch. Gasps came from several neighbors. Mrs. Henderson covered her mouth in disbelief. Officer Ruiz immediately stopped his patrol vehicle at the curb and stepped out calmly but purposefully, approaching the scene. His presence alone caused several teenagers to lower their phones. "Afternoon," Officer Ruiz said evenly. "No shouting, no threats. Just professional calm. Everything all right over here?" Logan forced a smile. "Just an accident." Officer Ruiz looked down at the broken planter. Before meeting Maya's eyes, Maya could have demanded an arrest. She could have escalated the situation. Instead, she answered with remarkable composure. "It can be replaced." Officer Ruiz nodded respectfully. "I appreciate your patience." He then turned toward Logan. "But respect for other people's property isn't optional. Consider this your warning." Logan rolled his eyes, pretending not to care as Officer Ruiz returned to his cruiser. Several neighbors quietly thanked him for stepping in. Before things became worse, children watched the entire encounter. Some noticed the officer's professionalism. Others noticed Maya's self-control. Both lessons mattered. Neither authority nor strength needed anger to be effective. Logan stood there, watching everyone praise the woman he desperately wanted to embarrass. His pride couldn't accept it. Inside his mind, a new plan was already forming. If he couldn't humiliate Maya with insults, he would do it publicly somewhere. Everyone in Willow Creek would be watching somewhere. There would be no excuses, no interruptions, no escape. The upcoming Memorial Day neighborhood barbecue suddenly became the perfect stage. As neighbors slowly returned to their homes, Maya quietly picked up the broken pieces of the flower pot and continued caring for her garden as though nothing had happened. She understood something many people never learn. True strength is measured not by how quickly we react to disrespect, but by how wisely we choose our response. Across America, countless Black women lead their families and communities with that same quiet resilience, while dedicated police officers help preserve the peace through professionalism, fairness, and service. Together, those examples remind us that courage is strongest when it protects rather than provokes. Now I want to hear from you. If you had witnessed Logan's behavior in your own neighborhood, what would you have done? Do you believe Maya was right to stay calm? Or should she have confronted him differently? Share your thoughts in the comments, because I read them all and your ideas often inspire future stories. If you enjoy powerful justice stories featuring courage, respect, strong Black women, and meaningful community values, let me know what kind of story you'd like to see next. Your suggestion could become the next video on this channel.